5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's weekly Media Roundup 5:45 Live. I'm Roland Boyden.
And I'm Abby Sherlock. On deck tonight, Shumlin's visit to town on Monday, new complications with the legislators' attempts to generate a legalization bill, more trouble for former Santa's Land owner Lillian Billowitz, and much more.
All that, and we'll do it in just 15 minutes, so stick with us. Welcome back to this April 15th, 2016 edition of 5:45 Live. A look there at some fishing footage as fishing season officially kicked off. Of course, the start and end of fishing season far less publicized than that of the respective hunting seasons, but equally important to follow guidelines, say state officials. You can find more about the Fish and Wildlife guidelines on the state's website. All right, with that, into the main headlines we go.
Former owner of Santa's Land, Lillian Billowitz of Westminster, is back in court for a hearing to pay over $36,000 for the care of animals after animal cruelty charges. Billowitz announced she filed bankruptcy last Sunday. Billowitz bought Santa's Land in 2013 with 18 animals, later found dead at the site. At the time she was arraigned, she is currently unemployed and living with previous animal caretaker of Santa's Land, Brian Diesler. Billowitz currently stated that she currently has two main sources of income, a trust with which she bought Santa's Land with, and her mother's estate estimated to have around $9,000 remaining. The Vermont State's attorney said that there will be a resolution to the case by or shortly after April 23rd.
Let's keep you updated in that story as April 23rd approaches. Now, next up, as promised, news from Shumlin's trip to Brattleboro this week. And for that, we're going to launch into the split screen of our Commons News report here. And we'll check in with an article entitled Shumlin Blasts Critics of Healthcare Energy Policies at Chamber Luncheon. Governor talks up his 6-year record. That's going to be the shortest subtitle in the history of the Commons here. Now, he made some announcements just a day after marijuana legalization legislation many predicted would sail through this year, got a set of revisions in the House Judiciary Committee that could, many think, now effectively kill the bill for this session anyway. Although Shumlin made it clear that he doesn't think it's over just yet, with his words suggesting some of the frustrations over this issue, saying, quote, "We can live in denial like we did on heroin and opiate addiction and all the rest. It didn't go so well for us. Or we can move to a more sensible policy. I think the Senate passed a very sensible bill. I think the sooner we pass it, the better off Vermonters are going to be." And you can see more from Shumlin and see more of those photos from that luncheon as he was in town this week at the Chamber event hosted at the American Legion. You can find it all by doing what we're doing in this here split screen and heading to commonsnews.org or pick up a Commons paper. Those can be found on newsstands all around town. They refresh each and every Wednesday and are free, though community-minded citizens can help keep the paper afloat by becoming a sponsor of the Commons and getting a paid subscription. Again, commonsnews.org is the website for that.
All right, next up, for a town that loves its art, the town's art committee has remained a magnet for controversy. Brattleboro Select Board members saw a new wrinkle this month, expressing their concerns over a proposed establishment of a new town promotion committee that would bring together arts and business groups to put money towards advertising and marketing. The Select Board has disagreed with the premise of the proposal, stating that the town was not responsible for art promotion, that the town cannot afford to fund a committee without a specific project or proposal in mind. Other Select Board members have stated that more detail needs to be given on the project before funding can be approved.
But I think it's worth looking into further. I think it's worth getting more information, more support. And as I mentioned with Adam, come in here like the library people do. Bring people from West Brattleboro, bring people from the Jazz Center, bring people from all different aspects of your proposal so that we can see that there's a lot of support for this.
Short clip there from the Brattleboro Select Board's most recent regularly scheduled meeting last week. You can find it to stream in its entirety at BrattleboroTV.org, and it's showing in its second week of broadcast. 2 clicks up the dial on our government and education sister channel, Channel 10. All right, moving on now. With nearly 60,000 gallons of groundwater suffering various levels of contamination already having been shipped off-site from the Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant, and more water to be dealt with, Entergy officials are asking the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to provide more alternatives for disposal of the remaining water, something the NRC officials have said they'll need more details on before they can approve any additional disposal methods. Now, this is groundwater that got significant mention at the last meeting of the Vermont Nuclear Decommissioning Citizen Advisory Panel, as the company Energy Solutions broke down for them the details of their plan for this water after the company was contracted by Entergy to deal with the accumulation of groundwater, much of which was generated by heavier than expected rainfall earlier in the year.
The response is we do test it to make sure that we've got everybody in place on a regular basis to ensure that everybody's on their toes for emergency response. Grateful that we haven't had to use that. We appreciate the opportunity to work with Entergy. We've worked with them on a lot of projects, and grateful for the opportunity that we have to help manage this wastewater.
That's a quick clip from the most recent Vermont Nuclear Decommissioning Citizen Advisory Panel, which can be found along with all other NDCAP meetings at BrattleboroTV.org. Now, the water in question there has been tested by both Entergy and Energy Solutions and does contain trace levels of tritium, although the amount is so low that the trucks transporting the water off-site do not legally have to be marked as special hazardous waste transport vehicles.
All right, next up, the Vermont Agency of Transportation held a public hearing at the Putney Fire Department to prepare for the replacement of the Route 5 Sackett's Brook Bridge. Construction of the bridge was said to begin in 2017, but delays may push the start date back to 2018. Scoping project manager Jennifer Fitch and scoping project engineer Jonathan Griffin ran through 3 potential options. The first being to do nothing, although that was highly discouraged due to the state of the bridge. The second option is to simply patch the deck of the bridge, but this was also rejected by the AOT because of the concentration of the damaged spots. The third and most highly recommended option is to replace the deck with full depth precast panels. This new bridge will have a bike lane, and the estimated construction time could be just 10 days or less, according to the AOT. AOT officials are currently waiting for any select board opposition before moving ahead with the project.
Moving on now, more news involving Brattleboro's downtown traffic light system, as last month Van Koykanovich of Springfield, Massachusetts, returned to Brattleboro to look at the efficiency of downtown traffic lights. Koykanovich is one of the original design members of the traffic light system, which was put in 2009. He determined that only minor changes could be made to improve the system, as pedestrians cross nearly every cycle at the malfunction junction intersection, and allowing them to cross at their own discretion could be pretty dangerous for pedestrians. Now, this analysis stems from comments that traffic moved more smoothly when the lights in downtown were set to flashing yellow during construction periods. However, pedestrians found this to be more dangerous. Now, town manager Peter Elwell has stated that malfunction junction should improve when New Hampshire builds a bridge between Brattleboro and Hinsdale south of the Marlboro Grad Center to eliminate Bridge Street traffic.
Moving on, Public Service Commissioner Chris Recchia spoke recently to the Senate Finance Committee to defend his energy advocacy group that has hit criticism from the AARP, who stated that his department does not listen to the Vermont people in a strongly worded critique. Recchia defended his committee, however, citing lower energy costs and advancement towards renewable energy goals, although AARP and the Department of Public Service reached different results in a natural gas pipeline case, Recchia says. Senator Kevin Mullen of Rutland stated that more questions need to be answered before legalization can be written to address any problems the Department of Public Service may have come up against.
And with that, we'll launch into our BCTV video calendar, which is all sponsored by the Brattleboro Savings and Loan, whose contributions to BCTV each year help fund our weekly look at area upcoming events. And we'll start with musician Sean Gaskell, who'll be playing the West African Kora at the Brooks Memorial Library tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. The Kora, native to the Mande peoples of Gambia, Senegal, and Mali, is an ancient 21-stringed harp, and Gaskell will perform traditional West African songs as well as some personal compositions. Sounds like something pretty fascinating to check out there.
Moving on with our calendar, Moth Radio host and storyteller Peter Aguero will be performing at Next Stage in Putney tonight and tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Tickets and information can be found at nextstagearts.org. And before we close out this edition of 545 Live, let's check in with this weekend's weather courtesy of the high school's morning news advisory broadcast crew, BUHS TV.
On Saturday, it's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 63 and a low of 35, still warmer, which is great. On Sunday, we have a high of 74, which is good. That's pretty nice. And a low of 43, sunny again, and next Monday we have a 69, a low of 42, sunny. So it looks like it's getting warmer. Let's just hope we don't get more cold. Now let's head back to the desk.
All right, that does it for another edition of 545 Live. Thanks for checking in with us. We'll be right back here again next week, come 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to check back in with us next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching.